Questions for reflection. In our first reading, God calls Gideon forth to rescue Israel. In response, Gideon asks God a simple question: where are all his miracles? Gideon's question is one many people ask today. Where are all the miracles? Where is God when I need him? God promises Gideon that he will be with him and demonstrates his power. He pledges that Gideon and his people will be victorious over their enemies, as if they were fighting just one man. And so Gideon, humble, hardworking, and convinced of God's power, builds an altar to God. In a way, we are Gideon, busy about our work, which incidentally may be more difficult than it should be, because instead of threshing wheat where the wind can blow away the chaff, we're threshing it inside. We can easily find our Christian work difficult and feel as though we face long odds under tough conditions. We may feel as though we do not see miracles and wonder why God isn't doing for us what he's done for his people in the past. These are legitimate questions, but the answers often lie with us, just as they did with the people in the Bible. The choice to see, to follow, to obey is always ours. God does work miracles all the time. The church verifies miracles constantly as part of the process of canonization for new saints. And miracles, yes, even those things which cannot be explained by science, happen on a daily basis around the world. Miracles even happen in our own lives. But we often become so busy, so blindly skeptical, that we fail to see them. Some of the Israelites before Gideon's time were so blinded they could not see that God was preserving them in spite of themselves. We need to open our spiritual eyes to see the miracles around us. And perhaps once our eyes are truly open, we'll find the strength, like God gave Gideon, to go forth and do great things. The responsorial psalm is a simple promise. God is here to save us and will bring loyalty, justice, and prosperity to our lives. These things are not casually mentioned. Loyalty, justice, and prosperity are key to peace and well-being. They bring stability and happiness and are a sign of God's grace. The only condition? That we fear God. Remember, fear of the Lord does not mean that we cower before him. Instead, it's like the fear a child may have of their parent. It's based in respect and a desire not to disappoint. This is a healthy, motivating fear, which reminds us that the Lord Jesus Christ himself is the King of our lives and the head of his church. And with this perspective, we can look forward to seeing God's promises of loyalty, prosperity, and justice fulfilled in our lives, and help others to open the eyes of their own hearts to see his hand at work as well. Today's gospel reading is popular and well known, but often misunderstood. Too often it's misused as a critique of riches and of the materially wealthy. But this is not what Jesus intended to teach. After all, many great people who enjoyed God's favor were also made rich. What is meant here is that rich people can often pursue riches at the expense of following God. They can be a distraction. And when that happens, then yes, wealth becomes an impediment to salvation. That's because it becomes an idol to be worshiped, rather than a gift to be shared and used for God's purposes. The disciples are also daunted by the knowledge that the path into heaven is like passing through the eye of a needle. How can any person fit? But Jesus explained that through God, this is possible. If we have faith in God, we need not have anxiety about our salvation. But the disciples continue their questioning and mention they've already given up their possessions to faithfully follow the Lord. So Jesus assures them they'll have their reward. But he also warns that those who put the things of this world before him will be last. One way to understand this is that we must demonstrate humility. Humility is a fruit which is born in our lives as we choose to decrease so the Lord can increase. Instead of doing good and expecting a reward, we're called to do good for God's sake. We should not do what the Lord asks for earthly rewards, but do what he asks out of love for him, and we'll reap spiritual rewards instead. For it's ultimately in the kingdom of heaven that we will be repaid 100-fold for our goodness. So let us focus on what's important. That's faith in the Lord. Choosing to live that faith by engaging in doing good works with humility, not with the expectation of an earthly reward. For if we're last in the world, we'll be first in the kingdom.